So YouTube tells me I'm banned from talking about this, but I don't care, I'm gonna do it anyways. So to give you a little history on this, I made a video a while back. I was talking about Kruger-Dunning effect, where some people think that they know something even though they have little experience about it. So they rate themselves really high. Then those that have a lot of experience with something tend to think they don't know a lot about it, so they rate themselves really low. It's an interesting observation by these two scientists. One that I have tried to take heed to, that I try to approach every subject, everything I do, as though I don't know anything about it. And I feel like that's why I've been so successful, because I don't jump in blindly to do something. I research it step by step by step. And that's why I feel like I had a lot of success. Well, I know I had success building this tiny house. I didn't do it to code. There was a lot of things that I didn't do because the material costs were so high during the pandemic that I had to take some shortcuts, but it hasn't even hesitated. It has done everything perfectly, other than the attic. You know that I had some issues with the attic. Had to cut some holes in it to give it some ventilation, but that's because we had planned to do one thing and then decided not to do it. We were gonna make a loft, and I should have cut holes earlier. I knew I needed to, I just didn't. That's not because I didn't know, it's because I just got lazy. I built my own trusses. Now normally, people buy them from a company, manufacturer, but I built my own based off a blueprint my father sent me. This bridge was another thing that I took a lot of heat on. I didn't do it the way I should have. I was actually trying to save costs, because those 2x6s and 1x6s, man, they were expensive during the pandemic. But I needed a bridge, so I ran the boards long ways instead of sideways like I should have. The structure of it isn't quite as supportive as it could be. But my thought is how much weight am I really gonna have on this little bitty bridge? A couple people, 400, 500, 600 pounds, 1,000 at most. I couldn't imagine ever getting 1,000 pounds on it, but maybe. So I don't need it to have the strength to have a semi-truck on it. There's things that you have to think through logically. Now, if I were to build this to code, it would hold the weight of a truck. The porch, I didn't build it correctly either. I used screws here. People told me I should have used nails. Of course, I didn't even build this right. They told me that it was gonna fall down in the first snow, but it didn't. And these screws, they hold 100 pounds each, so there's 4 screws in there. It's 400 pounds per side, so 800 pounds per board. I did the math. This thing should hold my truck, but I didn't do it correctly. I didn't do it to code. But again, I wasn't trying to build it to code. I was trying to build it to my needs. So during that video, and I'll put a link to that video in the up next box at the end of this video. It'll pop up next to my face. But in that video, somebody says, I'm starting to notice that you complain about what people think about you. Now, prior to this comment, he had rediscovered my channel. He used to watch me when we were nomads and stopped watching me when we came off grid, and just rediscovered. So he'd been watching several of my videos. He was telling me how terrible my chicken coop was, my chicken run, the whole thing, and that he wanted to send me pictures about his chicken run so I could do it like he did it and do it better. Then he comes up to this last video about the Kruger-Dunning and says he thinks that I'm complaining too much about what people think about me, and that he's going to unsubscribe because he's tired of all these complaints. Now think about this. First of all, he's upset that I'm worried about what people think about me. Well, I'm going to get into that. I really don't think I'm too worried about what people think about me. Now, on the other hand, when it comes to YouTube, I do have to be concerned, because YouTube is my job. Just like Walmart. Walmart needs customers. So if they're upsetting their customers all the time because they're not doing what their customers expect them to do, they have to change their behaviors to keep their customers. Same thing with YouTube. If I'm getting a lot of complaints about something, I have to address the issue with my customers, my viewers, if that makes sense. At least that's how I look at it. Could be wrong. I don't think I am. I think it's worked out pretty good for me. But then he wants me to change the way I handle my customers, and he didn't even give me a chance to make the correction. He just unsubscribed. So he said I'm not supposed to worry about anybody, but apparently I have to worry about him. I have to make videos that he likes. I have to do a chicken run that he wants me to build. I have to do a chicken coop that he wants me to build. He's going to send me pictures so I can build it like him. What I've noticed is two things. Society doesn't stop long enough with this thing right here. They're just constantly running it. And they don't even think what they're talking about. It didn't even take me a fraction of a second to realize the hypocrisy he was spouting. I don't want you to listen to anybody else, but you must listen to me. Did you just hear yourself? And then the second thing, I think social media, well, I actually know this because I've read the studies, is causing an increase in narcissism. Narcissism, I'm not an expert in, but narcissism is when you're in love with yourself. There's two types of narcissism, but regardless, social media has somehow made people feel more important than they really are. I don't know, maybe I'm a narcissist. Also, I look at myself. The older I get, the less narcissistic I am. I really do believe that. But what I don't appreciate, 30,000 opinions all telling me how to spend my money when they're not living my life. It's really nobody's business. I'm just telling you how I did it. I built a tiny house. Do I care what people think about me living in a tiny house? On YouTube, I need to worry that this audience likes the tiny house idea. I got to worry about that. But in general, no, I don't care. And the way I can prove that I don't care is I live in a tiny house. Most people ridicule this. I know that people on YouTube feel like I'm abusing Carolyn because I don't have something bigger. So I know it's not a popular idea, but I did it anyways. The other day I was trying to show you how to avoid the Kruger-Dunning effect, where you jump into a project because you think you know everything and then fail at it. And I was hoping that I could help you avoid failures, or as many failures, by slowing down and just admitting, I don't know. But this guy that watched that video was so busy with his narcissism and so busy telling me how to do things that he didn't even realize that I was offering some advice on how to go through life without so many failures. Every time I mention a carnivorous diet and that carbohydrates are bad for you, I will get a dozen people, at least a minimum of a dozen people, telling me I'm wrong. Now here's my theory on carnivorous diet. I've eaten, just like everybody else, all my life. It wasn't for just the last couple of years I stopped eating like everybody else. And all my life, I kept getting more unhealthy and more unhealthy and more unhealthy. I had thought, I wonder if I was in high school again, when I ran cross country, if I could have done better in cross country if I was on a carnivorous diet. Coach made us eat carbs right before a race, spaghetti dinner. Carbs is sugar. Your body instantly burns it up. So we eat it, we burn it up, and by the next morning when we go to the race, it's all gone. Whereas meat, fat, would have given me more energy, more protein, more muscle, but that's beside the point. But now that I'm on a carnivorous diet, I'm healthier than I've ever been. I can breathe. I had asthma, pretty bad. And I got on a carnivorous diet and my asthma went away. Well, I've made the connection. The reason my asthma has went away is the bronchial tubes and all that stuff down there in your lungs gets inflamed from carbohydrates, because carbohydrates and vegetables give you inflammation. Inflammation in the shoulders, the back. That's why you're always sore and arthritis. Same thing with bronchial tubes. That's my theory. My shoulder, I was pretty sure my shoulder was going to stop working. I mean, I was trying to split all that wood. Once I started the meat diet, my shoulder got better. I'm pretty confident it was getting arthritis. Again, inflammation. Carolyn's back is basically cured. She hasn't complained about her back. As a matter of fact, I had forgotten about her back until this video. I'm just sitting here talking about it. Her back is just incredible, and she has permanent back damage. But the inflammation must be gone because she hasn't complained about it. Her mental health is 1,000 times better. She has social anxiety, and I don't even witness that anymore. Now, she says that when we go to the store, it still flares up. It's obvious that she has the ability to control it. These dozen people who will tell me that I shouldn't be on a carnivorous diet is bad for me, I would like to see them, their physical condition. Find out if they're actually healthy and telling me that I'm unhealthy by eating a carnivorous diet. The reason I say this is I've watched videos of vegans, people who only eat vegetables. Now, the older they get, they just kind of have this skinny fat, is the best way to put it. They look fat, although they're skinny. And then the younger people just look anorexic, terrible. And then I look at people on YouTube who are on carnivorous diets, and all of them have a healthy weight about them. There's this one doctor, my goodness, he could substitute for the Hulk on that TV show back in the 70s. He is built, and he's on a carnivorous diet. But they will tell you that you're crazy and that you need to eat unhealthy. Now, the thing is most people will agree that the food that is in the stores and at McDonald's is garbage, but they're telling me to eat it. It makes no sense. I mean, I understand what's happening is doctors in the medical profession has gotten people so addicted to carbohydrates because carbohydrates are sugar that they've convinced them that they have to have it. One person told me, I'm hyperglycemic, I have to have carbs. I'm hyperglycemic also. I'm hyperglycemic because I was eating carbs. When your body eats up all the sugar, it needs more sugar. But if you can replace the sugar with fat, your hyperglycemic will go away. I know, I haven't had a hyperglycemic problem ever since I started eating fat. Before, I would take a tablespoon of peanut butter just to calm it, but that's all carbohydrates, sugar. In the last video, I was telling you how to avoid being the expert even though you've never done it. To make yourself a better person on two fronts. One, so you don't go around telling everybody that I should raise chickens this way even though you've never raised chickens, or I should build a tiny house this way even though you've never built a tiny house. But secondly, so you wouldn't have as many failures in life. This video, the point of it is do what the guy said. Don't worry about what other people think. As a matter of fact, take it one step further. Don't do anything people tell you to do. If somebody offers you unsolicited advice, and that's the key. Everybody wants to give you advice. Everybody wants to tell you how to do something. Don't take it. Just ignore it. And so I know people in the comment section, oh, I don't listen to anybody tell me what to do. But it's very common in this society, so I would imagine that you have. I know I have. Now the second part is don't ask for advice. I see this on off-grid groups on Facebook. What do I do to get started on off-grid living? Well, the first thing you do is stop asking for advice. Start researching. Watch YouTube videos. Don't ask for advice because people are going to give you bad advice. Watch people on YouTube who have actually done it if you want to live off-grid. If you want to be on a carnivorous diet, watch the doctors that are on a carnivorous diet. You shouldn't ask me, what do you do for a carnivorous diet? I'm sure I'm not perfect at it. There are several doctors on YouTube, and all you got to do is Google it, doctor, carnivorous diet, meat diet, low carb diet. If you'll click this up next box to take you to that video where I was talking about the Kruger-Dunning effect. So if I can inspire you to do it on your own, it's better that way. So you can live your dreams. Thanks for watching.